Hello and welcome to Gonzaga's Campus Security Authority training. If you are completing this training, it is because you have been identified as a designated Campus Security Authority under the Clery Act. Within this training, you will learn about your unique role in keeping the Gonzaga community safe and informed. Before learning what a CSA does, it is important to understand the history and the context of the Clery Act. In 1986, Jean Clery was raped and murdered by another student in her dorm room at Lehigh University. The Jean Clery Disclosure of Campus Security Policy and Campus Crime Statistics Act, typically referred to as the Clery Act, was enacted in her memory. The goal of the Clery Act is to ensure that both current and prospective students and employees, as well as their families, have access to accurate information about crimes committed on campus and about campus security procedures. Here at Gonzaga, we use Clery information not only to provide statistics, but to identify areas in which we can improve security practices and programming. While the disclosure, collection, classification, and publishing of crime reports and statistics were the initial requirements of the Clery Act, it has expanded to be much more comprehensive. Under the Clery Act, Gonzaga also holds the commitment to issue timely warnings and emergency notifications, to maintain a daily crime log, to implement missing student notification procedures, and to maintain fire safety information. Gonzaga's federal financial aid is dependent on compliance with the Clery Act. Alongside the risk of losing aid, each violation of compliance can result in a fine up to $54,789 per incident by the Department of Education. We believe in the inherent value of transparency in community safety and safety operations. Now that you understand the importance of the Clery Act, let's move on to discussing your role as a CSA. CSAs are individuals designated by the Clery Act who have a special responsibility to report specific crimes to campus security for the purposes of crime statistics collection. The law defines 4 categories of CSAs: members of the Campus Safety Department, non-police security staff who are responsible for monitoring university property, staff members and offices designated under Gonzaga policy as those to whom crimes should be reported, and lastly, individuals with significant responsibility for student and campus activities. Unless you are involved with campus security or are a housing and residence life employee to whom crimes are reported, it is likely that you fall into the 4th category. CSAs are designated based on job function and not by title. Your position has been identified as having significant responsibility for campus safety or for student and campus activities. On the left is a list of individuals on campus identified to be CSAs. It is by no means a complete list. You will notice that some of the people are included because of a short-term or supplemental position. For example, student orientation leaders are only active as CSAs while acting in their role as an orientation leader, and not during their daily activities as a student. Additionally, faculty advisors are only active as CSAs while acting in their role as a faculty advisor, and not during their regular office hours or within the classroom. The list on the right gives examples of individuals who are not CSAs. These positions include administrative and clerical staff, faculty with no outside affiliation with student organizations, and employees under professional or pastoral exemption. Now you will learn about your responsibilities as a CSA. CSAs are responsible for collecting information and reporting certain crimes that they have witnessed or have been reported to them by Gonzaga community members. The following slides in this section will help you understand what crimes need to be reported and how to report them within the provisions of the Clery Act. This is a complete list of the crimes that CSAs are required to report. Please take a moment to read through the list. It is important to note that while CSAs are typically not required to report theft, simple assault, vandalism, or intimidation, they are required to report these crimes if they believe the crimes were motivated by bias. Detailed definitions of each crime can be found on the CSA webpage in the Campus Security and Public Safety portion of the Gonzaga website. If you are ever unsure of whether or not a crime qualifies as reportable, your best course of action is to report it to Campus Security, and we will determine the classification of the crime based on the details you provide. In March 2013, President Obama signed a bill that strengthened the Violence Against Women Act. Included in the bill were amendments to the Clery Act to include reporting of the following effective 2014: dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. In the state of Washington, domestic violence includes violence that occurs between two adults who are presently residing together or have resided together in the past. This means that violence between roommates living in the university residential facilities should be included in reporting. Again, detailed definitions of each crime can be found on the CSA webpage. Geography plays a large role in reporting requirements. CSAs are only required to file a report if the crime occurred on campus, in on-campus residence halls, on public property adjacent to the campus, or on non-campus property owned or controlled by the university or a recognized student organization. While CSAs are only required to report crimes that happened in these locations, we recommend that you report all crimes for the purpose of community safety. Reporting requirements also depend on how it is that you became aware of the crime. CSAs are required to report crimes they personally witness and crimes that are directly reported to them while serving in the role that designated their status as a CSA. CSAs are not required to report crimes they overhear in conversation, a crime that happened to a community member while away from the university, crimes that are disclosed during an in-class discussion, and crimes that are disclosed during a speech, workshop, or presentation. This page provides an outline of the steps you should take upon witnessing a crime or upon a disclosure. It is important to gather as much initial information as possible. In a disclosure from a victim, gather as many details as the victim is comfortable sharing. Then, immediately report the crime to campus security and public safety. Lastly, inform the victims of their options, including confidential reporting and offering referrals to resources. The following are examples of important questions to ask upon a disclosure. Is a violent crime in progress? If so, call the police immediately. What happened? How? When? And where? Is there an identified suspect? Has the incident already been reported to the police or to another CSA? Does the victim prefer to remain confidential, or is the victim anonymous? Has the victim sought or is the victim in need of services? It is very important to understand the difference between anonymous and confidential reporting. An anonymous report means that we do not know who the victim of the crime is. A confidential report means that we know the victim, but they choose to remain unidentified during the reporting process. Unless you are a responsible employee under Title IX, you have the option of maintaining confidentiality during reporting. Responsible employees cannot provide confidentiality when sexual misconduct or child abuse is disclosed. Even in circumstances where the victim's identity must be disclosed, Gonzaga is fully committed to the protection of their identity and shares information with a high level of discretion. To file a report, call Campus Security and Public Safety at 509-313-2222 or report in person at the Hutter Mansion at 503 East Sharp Avenue. Timeliness is critical, especially in circumstances where the university may need to comply with timely warning or emergency notification policies. When reporting, describe the incident or crime as completely and accurately as you can, and remember that you do not need to make a judgment about or investigate what happened. Simply get the facts as they were reported to you or as you witnessed. As a member and representative of the Gonzaga community, it is your responsibility to understand what services are available. Some services available to victims of a crime include the Center for Cura Personalis, or CCP, Health and Counseling Services, the Center for Student Academic Success, Lutheran Community Services, which is a confidential reporting resource, and security escorts provided by Campus Security. Please familiarize yourself with all campus resources available if you have not done so already. Additionally, CSAs should also inform the victim that they have an option to file an official report with the Spokane Police Department. Filing a report to Campus Security is not the same as filing an official police report. Survivors of sexual misconduct should be made aware that police reports cannot be made confidentially. As a review, the Clery Act requires institutions of higher education receiving federal financial aid to report specific crime statistics and provide safety and crime information to members of the Gonzaga community. Gonzaga University is responsible for establishing appropriate procedures to implement these requirements. A CSA is anyone who has significant responsibility for student and campus activities. As a CSA, you are required to get the facts, report all Clery-related crimes to the Campus Security and Public Safety Department, and inform victims of available resources on and off campus. If you have any questions about your responsibility as a campus security authority, here are some resources available to you. We highly recommend that you further investigate your CSA responsibilities and read the crime definitions on the CSA portion of Gonzaga's webpage. Thank you for completing this federally required CSA training. In order to finish the training, please complete the accompanying quiz to the best of your ability. We appreciate your commitment to keeping the Gonzaga community safe.